So for the Board of Selectmen, September 28th meeting, 6:01 by my clock. And our agenda this evening, we have public forum, followed by appointments, and then new business, which would be a general discussion with the state rep, Sheila Harrington, and discussion with the Groton Dunstable Regional Secondary School Committee members regarding the CARES Act, ARPA, and other sources of potential funding. Discussion on the town charter draft. Discussion regarding the disposition and future use of the 91 River Street property. And then we will enter into two executive sessions, one for Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, 21A, Clause 3, pending litigation discussion of the settlement agreement. And the other is Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, 21A, Clause 6 for real estate regarding the town common land and potential transfer to the Evangelical Church. One set of minutes to approve from September 14th. So with that, we'll open up the public forum. So if anyone in the audience tonight that would like to speak to something that is not specifically outlined on the agenda.
This is your own chance.
Okay. Anyone else? John? No, you good? Okay. Good.
For now.
All right, for now. All right. Next thing, appointments. I don't believe we have any tonight.
It's
Okay.
just on there just in case.
Just in case. All
Thank you.
right, very good. So we're going to jump right into new business. Unfortunately, Representative Harrington is not here, so we will take that out of order. And we will start with the discussion with the school committee members. Hi.
Howdy.
All right, Rafi is here, Melissa's here, we've got Dr. Chesson here.
Do you guys want to join us at the table?
Your backs will be on the camera if that bothers
So
you.
everyone will be able to hear you.
You can at least like,
I'll be happy to switch seats, so you're front and center.
Oh, that's quite all right. We're happy with to be the way we are.
There's more horseshoe ask for that.
Yes.
So our Dunstable school reps requested time in our meeting to discuss some issues that they are concerned about, we may be concerned about, and we invited Dr. Chesson to come along. And provide fun support. All right. Lacey's not here, so we don't know.
Yeah, so she was unable to attend
We're
tonight.
gonna have fun.
It's all fun.
Throw the chair.
Yeah. It's not fun. There's no point in being here. All right, so Rafi, what have you got?
So thank you, Madam Chair. Lacey, my colleague, wasn't able to be here tonight. But I am the liaison for the school committee for the Board of Selectmen here in Dunstable. I've asked the superintendent and the chair to come also to present any information they may have in terms of the CARES Act and what we've recently been discussing and have been, I guess, an overlap from last quarter. So we just wanted, I think it was beneficial for everyone, including myself, to be under the same roof at one meeting, to all get on the same page. Unfortunately, the business and finance manager was unable to attend due to medical issues,
Yeah.
but she is fully aware of what's going on,
Okay.
and Dr. Chesson will communicate that with her as well. So with that, I will turn it over to the chair and the superintendent.
Or just catching up.
That's okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
No problem.
So there were a number of questions that we received, and did you share the information that you received?
So I think this is, because there. One thing. Is.
Right, and I have those answers, yeah. They were sent to you, yeah.
No. Those have.
Okay,
Okay, so the other thing that's been back,
Did you say the gift app? For the CARES Act.
The request for ARPA money.
Okay, all right.
Sherry provided that information. Independently of that, you create the budget. That's what our advisory board is.
Yeah.
And that's the list of questions.
Right, the second list, yeah, but the first list was what was the funding the district has received for COVID relief? What's the
Right.
funding in the
And
district? Those are
Sherry
the,
responded to
okay, yeah, that's what I had
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
yeah, we got it, didn't look at it yet, and
Okay,
there's some overlap.
oh, yes, I agree, there's overlap, yes.
Okay, so there's overlap. So that information's been disseminated.
Yep.
We haven't looked at it.
Oh, okay.
Because we're still.
So for the questions for tonight, that's okay, but the questions for
So the
tonight,
questions that were sent to you over the weekend.
right, those are new. I mean, those are for
new
the,
questions,
right,
and those are about your projections.
right,
We haven't asked any questions. about
right,
that,
I understand
other
that.
than sending, hey, can you justify this? Sure, did that.
Yep,
Got that this week.
yep,
That's been disseminated.
okay, so,
And probably over the advisory board. For the this topic.
so,
So you gave us info about CARES Act,
mhm,
ARPA.
right,
That have it.
right, sure, we call it ESSER, but it's the same thing.
Sorry. So you made a gift request.
Yes, we did,
About the ARPA.
yeah,
That'll be on the agenda.
With the advisory board.
With the advisory board. The questions were,
sure,
right?
right, but I thought that's why we were asked to come tonight was to
I can
answer.
ask it.
No, so I didn't realize the information Sherry sent to you was sufficient enough. Otherwise, I wouldn't have invited them in. And I thought we had all agreed, and you and I, that we would all come in and do this. And now
Well, I'm
it seems like
confused,
you
because I didn't
don't
ask
need
you.
them.
No, the request was posed to me by Rafi to
Right,
attend our meeting.
right.
I guess from our point of view, and maybe there's some miscommunication here, is that we have already asked for and received a commitment from Groton for their request money. And as we move through the school year, I mean, we deliberately, because there was a difference in the timing of when the two towns could make a commitment, if a commitment was to be made, we shifted what the different gifts that we requested would be used for, because we couldn't hire people and to have them start in September if we didn't know that we had the money to cover their salaries. So the 900,000 that we received from Groton primarily went towards salaries of folks that are needed because of the learning loss and the interrupted learning that we had through COVID. The request that Sherry made, that she put in the information that she sent you, then specifically addresses one position and some requested funds for the upgrade of the HVAC system at Swallow Union, because it's adequate and we can keep it the way it is, but we would like to upgrade it. I would be doing the same thing at Florence Roach if I wasn't knocking it down. I would be going to Groton about that. So that's the information you can look at from Sherry. I guess I'm here, I'm glad I'm here to say that if we do not get the funding, because the town of Dunstable decides to not gift us the money, then we will, for these expenses that we've kind of set aside for what we had hoped would receive, plus additional expenses that now are coming into play, because the COVID situation is different than we expected at the time that we originally made out the list of requests. For example, the state was supposed to pick up all the costs for pool testing. they have been unable to staff it, because just like everybody else, we have not been able to get, the companies that are supposed to be staffing it can't find anybody to work.
Yeah.
So we've been.
Across the board everywhere.
Across the board everywhere. So we've been having our folks work overtime. Nevertheless, we still have to participate in pool testing. So there's a number of expenses that are coming on board now that we did not expect to have. So for the expenses that Sherry outlined to you, plus these expenses, without any additional funding, we will have to look at an E&D withdrawal in January in order to balance the budget.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to explain.
We appreciate that. Maybe there was some miscommunication someplace. I think that.
Right.
So.
Right,
The
because
advisory board would do that.
okay. So it has to go to the advisory board first. Okay, that's,
It
Well, it doesn't have to, but
My sense
sort
is
of
that
practice.
this board normally defers those financial decisions.
okay, okay. Yeah.
The information
Okay.
the advisory board asked
So that's, this is, I have
for.
that chart.
Yeah,
That can be
mhm,
sorted
yes,
out.
that's it, that's it, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I did, I'm glad I came up here either way, whether it's a non-discussion or discussion. Because I did want to relay, we haven't started our budget process yet, and we mentioned part of the projections.
Yep.
So in my.
That was a different, that was entirely different.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
right. I know that there's overlap, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Understandable.
But because the CARES Act money that Groton had gifted will be utilized for this particular budget as well as next year's budget to help offset.
So they're splitting it though, right? They're doing
Yes,
half and
yep,
half and half.
yep, yep,
Exactly,
yes.
exactly, which will follow the plan, start the projection, so I agree with you. I'm here, as a Groton representative, and here, speaking as myself, as a school committee member. So to be very clear, what I'm going to say now is certainly something I have not floated to my board, but I'm going to be advocating strongly. So I believe that we're at a point from the numbers, speaking of the numbers, it's going to be very difficult, but to walk away in Dunstable without some sort of an override of some sort. I think we're all at a point where we've been skirting it, getting by as much as we can for the last 5 years, but we're at a point. But I also know that because of the use of B&D, that gap is significant. So,
There's a more significant gap. That's a significant gap.
yeah.
The other significant gap is that this town puts subsidizing the budget from free cash. It's about $400,000.
Right, right.
And so we're gonna run into certified free cash this year. You might have $25,000.
Well,
So the rest is going to subsidize your operating budget.
right, and we know why, because the revenues aren't here.
Yeah, no,
And there's no other commercial here to increase the revenue, so it falls on, unfortunately, the burden of the taxpayers. So trust me, my taxes are gonna go up significantly from farm to rich. I know the pain, I get it. Okay.
We're not even at that.
I
We
get
can
it.
do it right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Storm Road isn't even on the table.
I've been living on this, so I get it, so I get it. But what my thought process is this, we managed last year, the year before, to use 800, we managed this year to use 800. I would be advocating to continue to use a portion of E&D, so it's not to round up some sort of, but an override will be needed, but if we can somehow diminish.
We gotta even things out.
Exactly, but I don't think, in my opinion, to some of the taxes and revenue, that kind of a steep jump is hurtful. So if we can somehow manage the leverage, the use of the both municipal and schools. So it's less
We
people.
can go backwards, year after year after year to provide the school. Free cash. We don't even operate.
And the schools have utilized, and the schools have utilized our E&D over the last several years to help you as well. I mean,
It's already in Lima. We funded
it's
it.
actually Groton and Dunstable.
Yeah.
you know,
I know, and that's a portion of it, so don't say that it's yours, it's ours.
It's
Ours
just-
collectively,
Ours.
yeah.
Well, then it's not our district. It's not our budget. It's our budget.
Correct.
It's our district.
And it's our deficits.
It's our deficits.
I mean,
That you choose to use in a certain way.
I didn't come here to get into an argument in regards to this. I came here to try and offer.
I didn't even ask anybody to be.
Well, I feel very welcome being here, thank you. All I'm simply trying to say is there are different ways that we'll need to work together to try and get through the next couple of years. And I am advocating for that to be open and trying to figure out ways to do that. But I don't appreciate being spoken to how you're speaking to me at this moment. I'm not, you don't want. I'm not your adversary.
We don't know anything.
I'm not your adversary. I'm here to try and work with you guys so we can get what we both need for our towns and our schools. It's as simple as that. I've always supported fire, police, DPW, police, always.
I think what he's trying to say is that, as always, we are limited in what we can contribute. End of story. That's simply the point. We haven't even engaged in any conversation about override yet. The advisory board hasn't even started that discussion yet. That's going to be beginning next 2 weeks. So
And some of
it's
the,
premature to really start talking about that, but it is, again, we're in a situation that's worse than it was before. So, you know, I mean, that's simply the point.
Yeah, and I'm just jumping off the end of the last budget season and those conversations.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm talking.
Yeah.
So.
On the same team.
Yeah.
I mean, stepping back a bit, we had the advisory board, again, it seems like a lifetime ago that it was pre-COVID, had begun talking about the
They
necessity.
are talking about it, so.
Yeah, so I think that's-
It's not entirely accurate. They are talking about it, and then we're doing it, they pose a number of questions. And that's where we are with the override.
Sure.
And the gift, I don't know, here tonight to talk about the gift request, or here tonight to talk about the override, if we're just here to talk. And that's all good. But there were questions after I reviewed the projections, which I know Dr. Johnson said they still need to be updated. And those questions are still being relevant, and I think it's set, and I think that it makes sense to meet in October to discuss that. Keep more time. Let's push it off.
Well, I'm not sure that we can give you 5-year projections, but the rest of it, I think we
Yeah,
can
so,
get.
whatever, makes sense, but they've been talking about it, they've been engaged, they're not ignoring the override situation. The advisory board, with or without me being present, has been talking.
And could alter if you were the board, school committee,
Yeah.
consider the use of the periodically schedule.
As opposed to just through the budget process.
And lastly, I don't know. So if we use in January.
So. So if you're here for the, this is what I would say, this is what I would say, we have $1 million. We earmarked, before we have $1 million. Right, we thought we had 340. You asked for 160 something.
Because we thought you had 340.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so we earmarked that, and we've had some pretty limited discussions amongst ourselves. in public about how we're gonna use that. With your request. So, sure, got back, discuss it. So the question.
How you would interpret
Yeah.
what a proportional response would be,
Fair enough.
yes.
So. You guys can make that decision. I'm not prepared tonight to go through all the potentials of our CARES Act.
You can just call it CARES Act for the sake of
Whatever.
service. We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not prepared to do that tonight. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we could use our CARES Act money for. and potentially, and the answers are not there. They're very clear, I think, on the school side, what you can use. On the municipal side, we're struggling with, well, it says this, but can you do that?
Well, it's a
No one wants
gray.
to answer that question, right? So I can't give you a definitive answer.
You reach out and they're like,
It's just
it's
reach
in the
out
text,
and it's just
figure it
like,
out.
at this point, we're down to my auditor saying, I'd like to see a legal opinion that we can use the CARES Act money for that. Proceed. So let's say that you refer this request to the advisory board, say, have them work on it, and it gets sorted out. And come up with a recommendation. And feel better about how. And we can keep it.
I appreciate that. And for me, it's a learning experience. The select board has brought, and discussed it, and there's some things that they're different.
Well, they don't count, but I think it's just,
No, it's okay.
they're just accustomed to it.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine. It's just I new for me. So.
And it's really been a very bad experience for me. So like it means fun. All right, so for instance, one of the uses of this program is we call it all. So we have but you can only record one of these. Okay, so I said to the director, I said, he says, yes. I said, but I said, who knows has to review this? And say that it's like. So then he says, well, you have to give the answer to the federal. So,
Circle.
yeah, so I go to the federal government, it says, read the rules. Well, we're not gonna do that.
No, none, having that not gone through. that's
Yeah,
it.
right, so that's
I
That's kind of where we are with the county. So I wish I could give you a quicker, better answer.
The way that I see this is on the alternative to the CARES Act funding that we're looking for is going to be E&D, which doesn't get certified until January. And we have an anticipated estimate of being 2.3%, my memory serves me, $980,000 total. That is $980,000 that we have, that could maybe $260,000 for the CARES Act substitution. But then that would only leave us with, say, $710 in my mind, if I want to offset a budget next year. That's what my concern.
And that would wipe out E and D too.
You know, it is one pocket to another, but if I'm gonna advocate to utilize that P and D to try and soften things next year and then the following year, if I use it for CARES instead, then I'm kind of money in it. That's my interest. To be honest, that's what I'll be going to.
No, that's understood. As Brian was saying, we also have this money that we can't figure out how we can use it yet.
Right.
You know, and there are some things that we need to
We
get
have
done.
a ton of legitimate needs. And it's
Yeah.
like, read the rules. And you're like, okay. So we do
Very
that,
frustrating.
and then it's like, yeah, you can. People say, well, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, but normally it says you have to meet these very credit requirements. And then they're like, well, that's when it's a sign.
But I don't think they know either.
Anyway.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate the discussion. I know there's always, we have time.
We do.
to work it out.
What is the time frame? I guess just
Their budget
holistically.
process starts, you need to have a budget.
No, but they're talking about.
I'm talking about CARES Act money, like, I think it'd be,
I think we're okay until the end of December.
Yes,
From what I was looking at.
okay.
yes.
So by then, we're gonna have to pull a trigger on the use of that EMP, and once we use it, then it's not.
Okay,
So that is where my concern.
so you'll need an answer from Dunstable, let's say by
It would help us help.
November
next
1st,
year's Budget, obviously.
Yeah.
sooner.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think having
Yeah,
a timeline would be
right.
useful rather than
That's about-
wishy-washy. Let's-
Yeah, so the most difficult thing for us is that, again, the differences between the two towns is that I have to give Groton
budget
a
number.
budget, a ballpark thing by December. Marcus did bring it to the select board on December
Yeah.
1st.
Okay.
So the longer it takes, the more, the less flexibility we have with the budget.
Okay,
You know, the thing to call to attention is in the past, we've been able to use 800,000 and we still have had some left. But if we use 800,000 this year, well, first of all, there won't be 800,000 to use if we have to use this to replace the CARES Act money.
okay,
But if whatever we have left, then it will have drained E&D, and that's never happened as long as I've been here.
okay.
Well, as long as I've been here.
Statistically speaking. So again, let's try to be proactive and get this, rather than just have it float out there, let's figure out what our school number is going to be. And that can help us prioritize the other things we want to do on the other side, right? Like advisory can do that.
Well, I
See, one of
mean,
our
so
guys will
one of
understand.
the, I mean, one of the things. So, I mean, one of the things about your ARPA money was, it doesn't have to be used until.
Certainly, but the school needs
So
something this
Sherry-
year.
Sherry said, I think, in the request that she.
Over 2 fiscal years,
Over
yeah.
2 fiscal years.
Yes.
Okay,
So, like, if that's the plan. Absolutely. connect it, And we're gonna use the rest of the money. And the rest of the money is gonna be spent.
yeah, absolutely, as it should be, it's money.
That's it.
Right.
Right. There's another round. Then there's another round.
I-
right?
I'm
So
I'm not
there's ARPA,
expecting that
ARPA
that's gonna
this
happen.
year, Whatever.
If you can't find use, if you can't, within their guidelines to use it, the government just takes it back. It just, like, in other words, if you can't find uses that fall into the guidelines.
Well, fine.
It's not a use it or lose it. It's- no,
It would be a use.
Right, I mean, well, we did that, I think,
It's
last
very-
time.
It's very challenging so far, but don't worry.
I mean, because the most difficult thing just
You
to,
know what, in most cases, there
Yeah.
is ventilation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there is, yes, we could do the whole ventilation, we're only doing it in pieces, but I just want to make sure that people are aware that unlike the first couple of rounds where the districts got, we didn't get a lot, but we got more. This time, the district got way less than the towns got. And as a matter of fact, so I know people might read in the paper that X district got like $19 million. We didn't even get $500,000. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that. So it's not like we got all this money and yet my hand is still out. Like, and as I said, there are things that are happening right now that we did not expect to happen, and somehow we're going to have to deal with it.
Okay,
If we had staff that we let go, that we had, so we could do social distancing. But if we see a trend that there's a trend that's making us a little bit nervous right now in terms of social distancing, that we may have to look at trying to, I don't know where I'm going to find them because we let them go. That was my first problem. But, we did that to try to cut back the budget for this
Okay.
year. So anyway, that's where we stand.
We all have our challenges.
Yeah.
yeah, I think the goal for us is to give you a number that lets us do
Yeah.
what we need to do on our
Yep,
side for the rest of
absolutely.
it, because we will spend
Yeah,
it, because
yeah.
we have so many needs, but
Yeah.
so does the school, so.
Yeah.
Tie that one off, and that gives us a number to use.
Sure.
the other side,
Absolutely.
so.
Okay, thank you very much.
So just to summarize, thank the superintendent, the chair for coming in. I think it is good for municipal leaders to meet and, kind of get everything squared away. I didn't know Sherry's responses were sufficient enough. But I think it is important that they were there.
I mean, I think that on the basis of it, Sherry has answered what the advisory board has asked for.
And then lastly on that, I think they're slated on October 20th to come
Mhm.
in. Is that
Yep. Yep, we're going to be here.
still? Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
What is our budget discussion in October as well? So.
Well, I mean, practically, right, so the advisory board.
Yep. Mhm. Yep. Well, it depends on which part you're asking me about, you know what I'm saying?
So.
Like enrollment, sure, we can get that for you. We'll have enrollment projections,
I
yeah.
mean, but if you're updating them in October anyway, does it make sense for me to advisory board to say, hey, look, they're updating all this stuff. So let's just simply.
I don't know that I would want to,
Based on our budget.
yes, right, won't,
No,
right.
I mean, when you're comfortable,
Yeah, yeah,
that you have updated.
right,
It doesn't have to be.
Right, October 20th, I think that we should have the vast majority of information that they were asking for, and I think it would behoove us to start this conversation sooner rather than later.
That's good.
And the very least, if we deny enough, there's a portion in
Yeah,
October,
that's
that
true.
will, Give a streamline of, for, like I said, use for each something, somehow look at all of the available options. Yeah, for, the next couple of years.
Do we have to approve the CARES Act money as a select board? To,
I believe
all right, so maybe a goal,
Advisory board is your.
They're
you
the
have- you don't
advise.
have to, but you have typically.
Okay. So maybe a goal coming out
You're
of,
not required to have the recommendations.
so maybe a goal coming out of the meeting on the 20th is the advisory board has a number. And then we, as a select board on the 26th of October, make a decision. And that's the end of that discussion for CARES, ARPA, whatever it's called.
I don't know that I would have any decision on all the municipal uses.
But we could,
You could put a cap
yeah,
or a maximum amount on school uses comparable to potential uses.
sure.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I think that, again, that gives this group a chance to go and do what they need to do. And then it's free and clear from our mind. We don't have to think about it until we have to think about it. I think that's a strategy. Let's chop something off the tree. Let's move forward. So,
That and I'm not sure how to phrase this, I'm just gonna be kind of straight about it. But if I'm going to go to my board and say, you know what, I understand we're joining, I will be here, but it's a necessity to help folks through a hard time over the next couple of years, we need to incorporate in our projections, and it needs to be done a certain way. Having the CARES Act money would show that we are working together in that aspect, because unfortunately, we can probably help in the future by leveraging EMD, but we're having a difficult time with the COVID baloney this year, and the code and the CARES Act money exists. And I understand you don't know the uses and you can use yourself to that. But
And so, I mean, I think that's an important distinction, right? So if you ask us, we have the final $1 million. So you asked us for 2 cents. So for 2 cents. So we say 2 cents. So 50 this year, half this year, and half next year. We're gonna go ahead.
Yeah, we would expect that you would so.
that's the
Yeah.
goal is I want
Yeah.
to give them the number and then say this.
And that's.
So
That's-
Yeah,
that's-
sure.
yeah.
Oh, no, no,
That's
no,
a
no, no, I
fair way to
totally
use,
agree.
fair
I
way to
totally
design.
agree. As I said, the only reason the number changed is because we didn't know how much money you were getting at the time, and we just kind of ballparked it based on what we knew you guys had got in the past, and then we were surprised.
No, that's fair.
Not always pleasantly.
Well, that was one of the questions, and it was like, and Sherry provided a very professional response, but she also, I think, kind of said like, well, they might come back and ask you.
No, the number you have now is the number. We're not, yes, you should be able to operate on that.
And I'm sure she was just keeping her options open.
Right.
So it sounds
I
like
would do the same
everyone's,
thing.
Yeah.
everyone's on the same page,
Yeah.
it sounds like, and if this board needs to communicate with them, you and I can talk to you.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
Thank you all.
all right, thank you.
all right, thanks.
We're okay.
Carry on.
All right. So it looks like Representative Harrington has made it. So we're gonna put that back into order. Sure. Sure, yeah, please. Without trashing the place.
Is there somewhere you'd prefer us to sit?
Wherever you're comfortable.
Front and center. Remember me from driving you around?
Nice to see you again.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Very well. So, I'm not sure if you want to start or if you would like me to start on some concern that we have going on. I've been in conversation with Brian about it
Yeah,
quite a bit. So here's where it begins.
okay.
So as you know, last year, we passed the bill that allowed the town to convey the property over to the ecumenical church. It passed through both the House and the Senate.
This is for the town common portion to be, yes, sent
Yes,
to,
okay,
passed
okay.
to, even just for the people. in the-
right. So it went through the entire process and the governor signed it into law in the beginning of January.
Mhm.
Okay. That's done. Okay. I then got the new bill for the road work this summer, actually at the Memorial Day Parade.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
The week after, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then we were able to get that through House Council, steering municipalities, I think,
I believe.
third reading, and through the House by July 22nd. It then went over to the Senate. And here's where it gets very muddy. As it appears, from what I've read, it went to the Senate to be passed, and it was on the orders of the day, and it got pulled from the orders of the day. And it got taken to Senate Council's office. It's my understanding, and I haven't verified this, but from what I have seen in some paperwork, Senate Council then reached out to EEA. And and I'll get into that in a second. We were never informed that EEA became involved after that, because it had already passed in the House, okay? I have since been working with House Counsel, and he said that for whatever reason, Senate tends to bring EEA in where they don't. A few years back, EEA began a policy, not a requirement, that they want to make sure they always have sufficient mitigation. Both House Counsel and he's probably far more knowledgeable than I, but have never heard of going back on an already passed existing bill and asking for more in another bill to make up for you didn't think you got enough the last time. That is nothing that I have ever seen. And I've seen some really strange things on Beacon Hill, but that is something neither House Counsel, nor I, nor Lauren have ever seen. So when I was first approached by a member of the Ecumenical Church and they said, hey, when is that going to pass? And I said, it already did. It passed last year. And he said, no, it's tied up with mitigation. And I said, it can't be. It's already a law.
Yeah.
Okay? It's already a law. It's not even a bill. It's a law.
No, what's going on is this, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Where, how to go back?
I don't know, like, to characterize this. So I'm on that. Because it's Route 113 project.
Right.
There's a ton of environmental review that goes on, like, when it passed the law the first time, the church, it probably should have had an Article 97 review. And for whatever reason.
I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's already law.
I agree. But here's why it matters now. So we're doing this huge Route 113 project. Fires
Right.
97 legislation. And even though the first Article 97 review didn't happen, they're now holding this hostage. Because they caught it after the fact. So
And-
this little niggling.
And they can't do that.
Well.
No, and that is why
Maybe they can.
no, oh, and that is why they didn't contact me.
Yeah,
I was
it-
kept out of every
Look,
correspondence.
there's no blame, we don't,
No, but,
if the evangelical church thing has to drop out, like, we negotiated this in advance, right? So back in the spring, if we weren't involved, we were still shaping the Article 97 legislation for the roof.
Mhm.
It was brought back up, and somebody noticed, so, hey, you never did that for the church. Okay, so we took votes at town meeting in May to address both issues. Both issues were pre-negotiated with the environmental affairs.
okay.
Wrapped all that into the legislation that's on the table. And then.
Well, and the reason it's a voice vote is because it gets the roll call vote, and I've checked with
Oh,
House
sorry,
Counsel
yeah,
too.
roll call.
You don't do it twice.
Right.
You just do the roll call
So
at the
that's
end.
still what I'm saying, but whatever. During that process, somebody said, hey, I'd like to look at that.
How do I what?
Somebody at Environmental Affairs said, please send us the current plans, the most up to date. So those plans got sent, and that's where it is right now. Affairs, and they had a number of comments, and we responded to those comments. And I think that they're looking at the wrong thing. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so this is crazy.
Well,
So we gave him a reply and said, hey, I think if you look at the right set of plans, then all your concerns are addressed, and if you want us to amend this technical legislation, cool. What it will say, make it say whatever you want it to say. Just get the job done. And I think that's where we are.
yeah, I mean, it then, because it's changing its nature though, it also has to go back to House Counsel when it comes back, because it's
Okay.
not the same bill that we
Yeah.
passed, essentially. It's been
Alright,
changed.
well.
Okay.
But everything comes out in the wash ultimately. because
Well,
we
it
have the
depends on
mitigation
when,
plan.
yeah, but it depends on when you need the wash done. That's the problem I'm having.
The wash has to be done before December.
It won't be probably the way it's going now. So they're actually waiting for the town to fix it. This is my understanding.
For the town, we need to.
We've given them. the reply.
Yeah, I don't know how they expect it. I don't know how anyone can expect it, can fix it when it's sitting on Senate Council's desk and it's not in the House even. So that is why I've tried to get House Counsel to help us get it back. And he said they have no,
Listen, just.
all right, but the reason
You
I.
guys agree. The church is the complication.
Punt on it,
It should have been out of it. It shouldn't be in it at all,
Just drop off.
strategize like the.
which is what a
Highway
House
budget's
Counsel
larger.
thinks you should do as well. Take it out and go back to where you were. And the reason I just say December is it's a stretch, and I'll tell you why. It has to get out of Senate Council, and if they're going to amend it to take that out now, they got to get that back out. Then it has to be voted on with a roll call vote by the people in the Senate. Then it has to go back to the House. And then it has to be re-voted on again by the House. If there's any changes, it's got to go back to House Counsel and probably third reading again. The problem is the session, the first half of the session is going to end, I think, the second week of November. So there's no session this week for some reason. So you've got possibly 4 or 5, because the House will have to finish, I mean, the Senate will have to finish it before it gets to the House, and then, and then back and forth to engross it. Then it has to get to the governor's office for a final okey dokey. So the original plan, okay, so the original plan had been, we got it through the House on the 22nd. We wanted the Senate to get it done on the 28th. Once they took the August recess, we were going to run to the governor and say, please, please, please sign it over right now, because we thought you needed it the first week of September.
We did.
Yeah, right.
We
We
did.
did all
Okay,
that.
and when I
Well,
say
and
we were,
thanks to you and Senator Kennedy, we were able to
Get an
federal
extension. Right.
to extend this to December. So what do we need to do?
Well, I'm working on, I
Subtract
have,
the church. What do we need to do?
well, I'm waiting for a response to a kind of angry message I left the Undersecretary of Environmental Affairs.
And I-
That's step one.
I have
So
literally,
at least the fishing process.
I literally have an inquiry to that same person, okay? so
You what?
I literally have an inquiry to that same person.
Yeah,
He's the guy who asked
Yeah.
all the questions about the plans. And we addressed all the questions.
and he hasn't responded.
It's only, it's been like 2 weeks.
So,
I left a message.
Is the state
Yeah.
house open? Can we go speak to these people in person?
what?
Is the state house open to the public yet?
No,
I
not,
think-
not
I
yet,
think,
but
though, in fairness, though, I think that, like, maybe if you had, let's say, for instance, that he had 10 questions. Okay, I think that 9 out of 10 of his questions were misplaced.
Yeah, the wrong plan to begin
Yeah,
with.
so that's
How do you
frustrating.
get the wrong price?
I don't know. He's looking at the wrong document.
Senate Council must have given it to
And
him.
then we resent him right.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
These
Wasn't us.
questions are irrelevant, except for this one. And on this question, it's a matter of style. Like, if you wanted to say that, then just go ahead and make it say that. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, let's just get the job done.
Right, but it's so, and I said to Jim Kennedy, is the House Counsel, and I said, so I don't see how this is gonna go anywhere, and he goes, it's clearly not going anywhere, it's sitting on someone's desk.
It's not his job.
There has to be some affirmative fighting to get this thing to move around. So I don't mind doing the affirmative fighting. But, and when I spoke to Brian Falk, he said, I said, so I guess, is there no longer a time sensitive issue? He goes, oh, no, there's a very big time sensitive issue.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to push it through here, but I feel like, I feel like they have led people to falsely believe that they need to do this work for EEA, and they don't. They don't. You don't owe them any extra mitigation on the ecumenical church. I don't care how we passed it. You don't owe them anything. It's already a law. But they have taken this
I see
policy.
where you're coming from. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they have taken their policy, internal policy, and started to make it look like a regulation, which they have no right to do.
And doing it retrospectively.
And do it, and that I've never in my
You know
life
what,
heard of.
The property that we bought to mitigate the Route 113 project.
Yeah.
Fine, yeah,
Okay, we're gonna buy that. And we're slick enough to use that to be the mitigation. for the-
but the problem
So
is,
that's the reason that it got that.
yeah, but the problem is that addition of the ecumenical church is muddying the waters for you.
So if we
I would say
re-
drop that.
so if we
Reprioritize.
drop it, then what?
Just
how do
The
we-
the way that the House passed it, if it goes the way the House passed it, Senate passes it, brings it back, and then we get it to the governor's office. I mean, then you've got it probably by the end of October.
So
but-
if that's the point, then the church is done. If we
The
drop
church
it.
is done. That's a
But
done deal.
But it's complicating the Route 13 project. So you're saying, when we're saying punted, that means remove the language.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, the most important thing right now is. this home machine project, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we've done great stuff. We've been asked to do. We've done what we've been asked to do.
Right out.
So I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
I can't sit here and say, drop it unilaterally, because I'm not in charge.
Right.
And this is sitting in the government office that wants this resolved.
Yeah.
Their answer is.
No,
answer
I-
that-
and I-
the Answer that
yeah.
satisfies them, that gets this legislation. hearing.
Whatever it's gonna
So
make it
that's why
work.
it's on
Right.
Now to bid is to drop it and drop it.
yeah, and that's what I've got
But
to
I really don't
convince.
think it makes a difference the way that we drop it.
No, because
We're
it's
gonna
still
buy
being
it.
covered for. It's
We're
being
gonna buy the
mitigated.
same property that we voted to buy, we're gonna mitigate the same things that we mitigate.
Right, it's all happening whether they.
I know.
It's a
Yeah,
package.
it's all
It's
happening.
a package.
I know,
It's
but,
done, we already own the land.
right, but it's just slowing it up. That's the only issue, really. So House Counsel said he'll work with me to get this moving again. And he highly, highly recommended I express my feelings to the environmental affairs office because he could not believe what they did. So that's a whole other thing.
They missed the boat.
What's that?
They missed the boat.
Yeah.
They missed the boat.
Well, and too bad for them. But the thing of it is that they, I mean, I see the position you were in. If you get a call from EEA saying, I want you to do this, this, and this, and it sounds like you have to do it.
But
Yeah,
we're not doing anything that we didn't expect to do, right? So
Right.
You didn't see that. You didn't see that
that aspect, yeah,
nuance of that aspect of it. But when we voted in May to mitigate this, it was all baked into that Article 97
Right.
amendment.
Right.
So we
That's
fully
fine.
expected that. They're doing this because it
Right.
addresses two issues at the same time.
right.
So if anything, it should be a slam dunk on
It
that.
should be.
I mean, it's overkill.
Yeah.
It's totally overkill.
Yeah.
It's just the lacing it together that's causing the problem.
Okay.
So,
Push one aside, get the highway project.
yeah, that's the goal, and the timing, it's all about the timing, so.
Yeah,
At one point, I talked to Brian Falk about maybe having a meeting with Senator Kennedy and Senate Council, but I don't know that, I don't know, I talked to Ed Kennedy yesterday, and I think we still needed to work through some of these other details before we set up that meeting, and quite honestly, I'd like House Counsel on the call too, but because it's just gonna languish, and it's not gonna be done by Christmas, so honestly, if we don't do something.
Well, let's move that forward and when we expect the
I will
update.
just keep in touch. I mean, Brian has been like the most excellent communicator, shall we say. So you and I are probably a couple of phone calls a week for a while. What did he say?
Usually speaks Chinese, he said.
Oh, well, I could understand you.
It's impressive.
You're not as loud as I am, but I could understand you. But no, I would offer to say any questions. But it's so obvious that there are so many questions that,
I think this is like our major thing, right? So, and it's not you. It's been
The road.
the road project, it's been COVID, it's been DOT.
yeah,
and all year. Mike and I know, we get, I can't remember.
yes, that.
DOT says this, DOT says that, what are you doing this week?
Right.
DOT says, jump this high. Okay. We don't have to jump that high, let's jump that high.
Mike's jumping?
Okay.
All right, that's impressive.
Jumping, Mike sings his background. in person. Says, I don't jump high. Right. That's the kind of guy that he is. And, you know, we know that some of these requests are unreasonable, but, you know, we're dealing with a state bureaucracy, and a federal bureaucracy that has rules, and to argue with them just causes delay. So it's like, look at it and say, that's a ridiculous request, but
Right.
you know what, this is what keeps it going. You know, we don't want to lose that on this project. And I think that's how we treated this.
Right.
Here, right? So,
Well, just as a policy thing to like keeping, you, I'm sure you know this, but, you know, a lot of times agencies will tell you to jump and how high, but agencies under the executive branch cannot make statutes. They can only make regulations on the code of mass regs. Right. And
I'd be the first guy to tell them to.
right.
If I could.
Right. And
So,
yeah, and statutes trump regulations every day. So they may have their regulations, but if it's inconsistent with an existing statute, it's out the door. But with that said, with regard to and Mike has also been a great advocate, and he and I have talked about some of the other things with regard to that I have reached out to the Lieutenant Governor's office who has reached out to DOT, and then they say, oh, no, we can't do the water project because no matter how many times we say it's not the same, we understand you can't use the federal money for the water. I get it. It's a separate thing. They just, I wish I had and I don't know. I don't know why they don't move on that.
That's not, you don't have to explain that, so.
Yeah,
You know, I think you did a good effort. Mike called you many times. You put in a request that was gonna go.
and the budget and the bond, yeah.
Unfortunately.
But
Unfortunately, I had a conversation with the deputy chief engineer of DOT, and he was getting thrown off his back.
he was gonna what?
He was getting thrown off his back.
Oh.
And he asked some very condescending questions.
Okay,
That was not, you know, I
Yeah.
shouldn't have to explain to the state's deputy chief engineer why replacing your old water mains.
yeah,
You'd think, no, definitely.
you would think, yeah, that you have
Common
a
sense
really
tells
good
you,
point.
yeah.
but-
Common sense is.
None of that here.
But on the good news side, Lauren, actually, I don't know if you want to talk about the two that have been filed and you've talked to them to move them up on the orders of the, one of them is moving up and up on the orders of the day,
Oh, the Dunstable liquor license.
yeah,
So that should
Oh,
hopefully
yeah.
be
Well,
moved along
we
and
hope
passed.
so.
yeah, hopefully even maybe Thursday, you think?
Yeah, they said, I talked to them yesterday and they said that it was on the orders of the day yesterday and that they were, Melissa was moving it along to one of the girls that was working on the bill for the day that day.
Okay.
So I will reach back out to her tomorrow and see
Okay.
where it landed.
Okay, that's good.
And then you also had already worked with House Counsel and got out the bill.
For the town clerk.
Yeah, the town
Okay.
clerk position
Yeah.
has come out of House Counsel.
So that's been all revised to make everybody happy.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not a docket number anymore. It
Okay.
is
Yeah,
a-
it's a real,
Good thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know
Okay.
where it
We may
sits.
need to revise it though, because we intended for that to be effective before the next, so I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
no revision.
I'm not talking about this, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
This is totally new information.
Yes.
I'm reacting to what I've heard.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you just filed it recently.
Yeah.
Right?
But-
And so the town clerk is moving up her time frame to issue papers.
Yeah.
Right? So it may not have. On this, and I'm hearing correctly, and the process.
Yeah.
So it may not have time to approve it before
Right,
she has to issue papers. for the selectmen.
So we may just have to,
So this
Fancy.
board, if you're open to it,
okay,
this board may have to take a special vote to shorten the term of that next office.
okay,
She's gonna be put in the position of, hey, this legislation is pending, but now I'm required to issue papers for people to run for this
yeah,
legislation. We might have to define
okay.
it, so.
TBD.
That's the.
Good to know.
Okay,
Good to
you know what, and
Good to
I,
know.
one of the other things, if it were to be modified, and this is something that Groton had to do as well, did as well, they learned through another bill that took long time because of revisions, changing from Board of Selectmen, to Select Board was just a freaking nightmare, to be truthful with you.
Yeah.
So when they put in their bill in order to be able to have an appointed versus an elected, they found another town that had done it successfully recently and copied verbatim the language. So if it mirrors a passing one, I can always say, look, you've already done
Take the
this.
precedent and roll with it.
Right,
yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, I know there are precedents where they passed a law to shorten the
okay,
term, so I can. A little bit of. If that's what we need to do.
okay.
We'd rather not.
No, but I mean, we, at least if it is gonna ever be revised to expedite it, I would take and I can find one for you, one that's past the verbatim language that you need. Okay,
all right.
When do you think we'll hear next on the timing of the highway project? Just in the gray.
Well, I will just keep plugging and calling people. I mean, I'm gonna call Brian Pierce again tomorrow, who's over the guy Eric there, he's
Oh,
one up.
Okay.
And, and
So, yeah, so like, so it's been like 10 days. since we-
right, I mean, they
we
should
gave
have,
them
and that, and the answers were perfect, I thought made perfect sense that Brian gave them, so. But I'm also, I had hoped to hear back from House Counsel today before I came here, because he was gonna get back to me today on kind of a strategy of how to get this going over there.
Mhm.
But I'll call him first thing tomorrow, see
So I'll
what
need
we
the
can do.
drink on Thursday if we don't have an answer.
What's that?
I'll need the drink on Thursday in town if we don't have an answer. Because of your liquor license.
It is, I know,
It's
no, it is, and,
They're selling
No.
beers out of the back of my car.
no, and I honestly have never actually gotten mad with the division of the secretary's offices, but this just blew me away. And had I not gotten that call about the ecumenical church, I'd have no idea that they actually, I mean, protocol would have said I should have been notified because it was a bill I had passed previously and a bill I was trying to pass now.
That would make sense.
I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah.
And it was very
We should
purposeful.
have been notified, like, we
Right.
didn't deserve to have this leverage over.
No.
the 13 project, and
Right.
all this extra-
and I'm sure you probably, when you got it, figured I also was aware of it.
No,
And,
I
yeah,
didn't. It was just like.
yeah, I mean, I would have thought I would have
When
been.
when we got it, and then we got.
Something new. It makes you excited.
It was like one of these,
Oh,
Hey.
always something new.
that should have had an Article 97 mitigation, and it didn't. And it was like, don't you do anything. I'm like, well, it's passed.
Yeah, but I know they had no right. I don't know how they went,
What to do? And they said, well, you have this. route project,
and you don't,
and we're gonna go after that. And
you
so,
don't.
you know,
So,
conveniently, we were able to buy one piece of property.
and make it
satisfy
work,
everything.
right. No, that I think
And we
that's,
put that forward as a
right.
solution, and they verbally, not officially, they verbally said, oh, that's wonderful.
right.
So that's good.
So we're on our
Well,
way. It's just-
Yeah.
but-
So what I will do is, we'll update, we can, I guess, I have your, I mean, I guess I can get everybody's emails, I can figure out
Brian's
this
fine.
code there,
He's
yeah.
good at he's good at forwarding.
Yeah, and then we will, as we hear from people, as it moves, as we know what the next step is, we'll keep you guys in the loop on that. But I do want to also bring Brian Falk back in because I think he would be.
I'm happy to make sure that happens.
Okay, yeah, oh, and he said he'll talk to Senate
Yeah.
Council too, yeah, he was,
I'm happy to be involved, whoever-
Yeah.
whatever comes.
yeah, I just worry that it's all these weeks, it's just,
The ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
it's just sitting there, it's not
It
going,
is.
it's not moving.
Mike's waiting for the road to collapse, so.
I know, no, I
Well, the
know.
rain, it may happen.
And it just, it kills me because so many people really tried hard to get that through fast, including the speaker. I mean, everybody was on board, everybody rushed it through, only to have it sit in the Senate because the EA wants new language. I just,
Yeah, that's just very frustrating.
yeah. So that's the story.
Uh,
Right.
I wish it wasn't.
Yeah.
But when that goes away, I think this board's next priority is residency.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Priorities,
Yeah, that's
roads,
not-
and then.
Yeah.
The thing is that, I mean, it made it out of House Council and it made it, so it's no longer a docket, it's a bill. So I'm just gonna have to, we'll do the same thing. We'll just keep finding the committees that are,
Having it.
yeah. In fact, one of the committee, I think on municipalities, whatever, when they did it, they pulled it out that night. It was its own poll. They had a hearing, pretend hearing, like, or whoever wants to come to a hearing on this in the next 5 minutes, come over. And then they pulled it out for a vote that night,
Really?
just to rush it as fast as they could. So it just floors me, that rush, and then boom, stop.
Okay.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't be helpful. Yeah.
So, but we'll get it back on the tracks again.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions? Anything else you want to talk about? No?
Yeah.
Where do you want to see a public?
I know where.
Yeah, there's millions of questions, so.
It's a can of worms.
All right, let's not even do it.
Yeah.
But let me know tomorrow if you have anything else you want me to add when I speak to environmental
If
affairs.
You want to do a call with my council.
Yeah,
Selectmen.
yeah, okay,
I mean, Brian.
Yeah.
Brian.
yeah. Oh, and he's great. He's been so helpful, really helpful. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll get in touch with you tomorrow and we'll get Brian, but I do want to hear back from Jim Kennedy first, and I do want to hear back from Brian Pierce at EEA, so.
Yeah, so there was one like inconsequential comment that they made. And we were like, hey, just whatever you want to do with that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, look, it has to go through by done deal by this,
Yeah.
I forget the last day. It's either second or third week of November that they have to by statute stop. And then they don't go back till January.
Of course.
And then because it's not a inaugural year, it's January-ish.
Live in the grass.
Yeah, it's kind of on the February, it might be on the February and January, I'm not gonna lie, but
Ski season.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not, we gotta make sure it gets done by November. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Nice
Nice to see you again.
Did I hear correctly that the state is gonna rebuild 113 and then pave over 100-year-old pipe? Is that the upshot here?
We hope not, kind of, we hope not. We're trying to get to a different.
So there still is a possibility that
That's actually not a bill on the water part.
So to back way up from the conversation, well, for that, like 7 years. Like DOT, they determined they're willing to replace a certain amount of water. They're not willing to replace other hundreds of feet of water main. from the project. Representative Trent was that conversation. The answer is no. However, I'm arguing that we can use our ARPA money, our rescue fund, to complete that work. So that trying to get an answer about that. I hope that answers yes, because I don't think it's sense to do it. It doesn't make a ton of sense to spend $6 million and then have to 10 years later and then ruin your investment. Safe investment.
We do have one more whack at that budget apple too. There's, I believe, gonna be a sub budget by the end of October too, so.
Yeah,
I mean, we can try.
the chief engineer, he was so condescending about it.
Yeah.
Always,
we can always try. Oh, gosh. What's that?
Democrats. Yes.
Well, I'm not the editor on that.
Okay.
I thought you could be state work. Nice to meet you too. It was a good person. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
All right, take care.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Oh, okay. Moving right along.
You get free water? Yes.
Show about that.
All right.
9 strangers. It's wild. It's wild show. 9 strangers. It's crazy.
Oh,
It's a
watch
great
that.
watch.
I like that.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, next on the agenda, discussion of the draft town charter. We don't have that before us.
Well, I apologize.
Okay.
Issues
Okay.
related to the fire department.
Why don't we push that to another
But
night?
it is on the, it is on the town website,
Okay,
and I did tell Joan to get her.
Okay, and copies have been sent to the board, correct? You have,
Don't think we've been proactive enough.
okay, I can do that.
yeah, if you have one.
So
we'll-
the reason that I didn't push it hard is to draft that was because it's Rev 15, and we Rev 16, which cleans some things up.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it is on the town website.
Mhm.
You can print it. There's gonna be a few more changes. That'd be best.
Yeah, there were a couple things for regarding,
But what's the process?
nothing huge, but,
The documents.
well, the process was to start to socialize the draft, beginning with the Board of Selectmen and then to the different departments in the town and start to get some more feedback. We had already solicited that out several months ago and really only got response from one department. We would like the rest of the departments to review it, get some feedback and discuss it among the board here. Make sure everyone's happy with it and then start doing some public meetings, inviting the general public in to review it. And then that may take several sessions in order to fully answer people's questions if they have any. We have a soft target of the annual town meeting. But again, we're not committing to that fully, depending on what sort of feedback we get. But it is out there for people to read. Just bear in mind, if you do pull it off the website, there will be some minor changes, nothing substantive. But it is there for you to read, but just stay tuned, check it, because there may be another revision number 16.
I know you asked me for a draft, and I apologize. I did not- I did not get it. But you want to hang out for a few minutes after?
I'm sorry.
If you want to hang out for a few minutes after the meeting, I'll print it for you.
Okay, you know, if it's
Or you
convenient,
can
otherwise
grab it
I
another
I
day.
can
I
come
can
back.
put it in your CBC mailbox.
I can come back.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so anybody else have anything to say on the draft at this point? Doesn't look like it. Okay. So we will, to be continued on that. Next thing up is discussion on the future use of the 91 River Street property. This was put on at request of one of my fellow board members.
I think I had asked to have that put on, hoping that we'd have some ideas, but I kind of dropped the ball on having ideas, so.
I think, you know, if you look at your bylaw, you allow residential use in the overlay. So. And then you have a solar.
Yeah.
That bill.
It can never be used again, really.
Okay.
It's never gonna happen, so.
I mean, there was that kind of crazy overlay requirement about primary agricultural soils, right? And
Not put established by us, but
not put
by,
on by us.
but by,
And then that was like, okay, well, that's off the wall. I think the real practical consideration of the solar one was that a couple of weeks later, they got the report from NJ, which said, hey, you know, your run to three-phase power is gonna be too long. It's not.
Yeah, okay.
So even if you could get past the agricultural soil thing, the economics infrastructure are out the window.
Yeah.
Right, so now you got 35 acres, you carved off some of the fishing game on land.
well, there's 30 acres remaining. We carved out
Yeah.
20, sold it to Fish and Game. It's all land that would have been encumbered through the Wetlands Protection Act and Natural Heritage Program, so it's really, we benefited from that. Joan was gonna disagree with me, but it is land that would have not been able to be used, period, and we got $200,000 for land that would have not been able to be used.
Right.
So,
So, I mean, your existing zoning allows residential use on the lot size. So, farm lease, you could divvy this land up and create lots for subdivision.
no, not my
You could
position
create
on that.
frontage lots, take the money. Go reinvest in them. You could use, I know, Alan keeps pushing. Advocate for that plan.
What was the plan?
Sell it for residential lots.
and you could just have a park down there. It's a combination of things. You could also do something wild and crazy, just say, hey, we have
30 acres.
We have 30 acres of land. And propose.
Why do we have to do anything with it at this point?
You don't.
We don't, but it's just, we thought it was gonna be a revenue stream for the town, and like now it's definitely not gonna be. a revenue
Well,
stream
but
for the
we
town,
lost no money in that process.
Other than the money that costs to buy it.
Well, that was, yeah, years ago. but Still. Joan?
First, I, would hate to sell the property. We have little enough property in town that we can, build on. My one concern, and I wanted to ask about toward the end of that solar project, they were gonna have to put another block of that property into conservation.
Yeah.
Was that because they had to rearrange the layout to make the neighbors happy? I'm
No.
trying to remember what,
The rationale was.
It was for the
They
turtle.
did the environmental study, they turned up the turtles. And they were gonna have to rearrange the layout. I don't remember the ratio.
2 to 1.
It was a certain amount of land, 2 to 1. It was a certain amount of land where they determined the turtles were. And we were gonna have to mitigate that by rearranging the land. And we tried to argue that we shouldn't have to do that because we already donated. We didn't really donate. I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah.
This was the catch, right? So if I could say, we donated that other land to Fish and Game, that would have solved the problem. But they were very quick to point out that we compensated you for that land.
Yeah.
And therefore, since there's turtles, you're gonna have to change the layout.
so there was what, 5 acres, 7 acres, there was
It
a
was
certain
something like that. Yeah.
certain portion of that land, so we lost 20, we started with 50, we lost 20.
You didn't lose it, you got paid for it.
Well, we got paid for a house lot and, and whatever, that, nobody wants to remember that. I know that the house lot is not worth 200,000, but it's worth quite a bit. So we're down to 30, and now it looks like we've lost another, 5.
We haven't lost anything.
We haven't lost anything, we never committed to that.
Okay, so that.
Because the
that-
project.
If, I know that what I'm getting at is no matter what we do with that property, are we gonna have to,
No,
okay, all right, so
if what we do with that property ties to some other public funding that is outside of our, so we take state money or federal money, we do something with that property, that's where that review is gonna take in.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
If we decide, hey, we're gonna build a school there tomorrow, it's entirely funded by us, which is unlikely.
Well,
Their review is gonna be it, but
no, the turtle issue,
the turtle issue is
Ex-
tied to other governmental reviews beyond us.
It is,
So the
right.
Conservation Commission might have to say,
natural heritage, the state program has a say. So this area is designated as,
well,
Yeah.
not if it's private property.
it does, no matter what you do, it still has to go through review of natural
You want
heritage.
to know?
If the species,
All right.
yeah,
Let me,
Debated.
So
Yeah,
the-
okay.
before,
That they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
let me just make my main point here.
they may not.
Sorry
In that
to,
regard, yeah.
be so long-winded, but my main point is what concerns me is, yes, it's an area with, many species of special concern or, endangered, whatever. And the problem with that is that those areas have a tendency to grow and grow and grow. And just like our 10 acres that we set aside at the high school for a possible elementary school, we found out, down the road that area is now upland habitat and can't be used. So what concerns me is that this property will eventually get to the point where we won't be able to use any of it if, you know, if the critters keep doing their thing, and, you know, pretty soon we're out of luck.
I think we all understand where you're coming from. I mean, we don't kind of, when we went through that and got hit with that. Potential requirement to dedicate more land on the sake of the turtles. I think we recognize the legitimate environmental concern and try to argue that we already met it. And they wouldn't take that answer. And at the time, you know, it was a financial proposal to take it up. You haven't had a conversation. Free.
Yeah.
Property set, we decide to do something with it. If that requirement comes up, then.
It depends on what's being
I think
proposed.
it depends on what's being proposed in this funding.
Right.
Yeah, with regard to the 2-to-1 on the land and stroke, one thing that the town may do, could do up there is, if it was determined that, let's say you want to do something there. Let's say the state says, okay, you're going to turn up 10 acres, you got to set aside 2-to-1, because what you're doing is going to destroy this. The entire, practically the entire western 1/3 of Constable is land and soil habitat. So what we can do is pick up another piece of land and say, okay, we just protect this portion of turtle habitat, which is not protected. Now we can use more of the 30 acres, and they will say, yep. So that whole idea that, you know, you're just going to permanently do this is not correct.
It's like the Article 97.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Same thing.
same thing.
Same thing.
Just chess and checkers.
The other thing is that when I was a lad, there were 11 houses on River Street, Olive Street, and Fletcher Street. One was abandoned, and the other was a summer home. 9 dwellings. Today there are 114. We've got an 11-lot subdivision in the wings, it's going to happen. There are 4 parcels of land, not tied up, with a lot of dry land, which are over 50 acres each. There are other smaller parcels. Okay? That land should be kept for the school that you're going to need. Elementary school takes about 10 acres, 400 kids. Further, so you're going to have a lot more people up there. Number one. Number two, Adams Street with 50 houses is a lot closer to there than it is to the center of town. Hello? And they're not making any more land. Leave it, because you're gonna need it. And then later on, the town's gonna say, boy, were they smart to buy this and set us aside, just like the 29 acres they bought from Lucy's Hollow Cemetery in 1949. No, you need to save this land for the future.
If I play devil's advocate, boards choose
Nicely, yeah,
nicely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, nicely.
yes.
Why not sell off some frontage lots?
Because you wouldn't have, you need that back when we develop all of it. You wouldn't have adequate that.
Not at the end of the time. It's properties, the
And furthermore,
No,
how many people want to have an elementary school right
hang
now?
on, I'm talking.
Yeah.
We're in third villages. So I still have it.
Yes.
Why not do on 3 or 4 lots? Make that money and go buy some of the open space.
I can answer that because that's a one-shot deal.
It
And
is
then
one
we
shot,
lose
but that's
the-
your goal.
And then we lose 30 acres that could be used
No.
in the future for something that the town may need.
You might lose 5 or 6 acres.
Off the front.
I don't think there'd be enough to be able to, I think what he's saying, you'd lose the depth in order to get this, the 2 acre size of the lots for the potential 4 lots that would go there. Then you're losing the amount of area in the back and potential access in order to make it
I'm not
all
gonna
of
question it,
that.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it seems like these land goals.
Yeah,
And,
okay, well, you can stop doing devil's advocate now, so.
One of the nice things about that parcel is we control that frontage. And, although we don't take a playground for an elementary school. But that's not standard, I mean, that's a rare design. And well, and you could, in addition to the school, have plenty of kids. And that might entail points at night. And nobody wants that. You sell off the frontage to 3 or 4 houses. You don't have the depth in check out. Those would be 3 or 4 houses that would be ramping up.
A few weeks ago, we were willing to go for, solar.
But that would have been an ongoing income,
That would be temporary, and provide,
right?
ongoing.
It wouldn't really be temporary.
20 years, no.
Maybe certain frames of mind or the check, I'm sure the butters frame of mind, they would view that as pretty permanent.
Yeah. Houses would be permanent,
Houses would be.
the
permanent.
sales are one shot deal.
Sales.
And we know-
Yeah, it's just generating revenue, that's all.
It's, but when you balance it out,
I'm dropping,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna push it,
okay, good,
that's it.
okay.
Um,
But you balance out, you sell it, you get that one hit for selling the lots, and that helps 1
Buy
year.
new open space, which
Yes,
is permanent.
that is true, but we already have some.
Transferring your wealth.
But then, to say that this is an ongoing revenue resource,
Oh, no,
it
I
would be
wouldn't
4
argue.
houses
I'm not saying
that we know does not balance out
I
in the
wouldn't, I
budget.
wouldn't argue that.
Okay, that's where I'm going with that. So,
It's
any other
it's just
thoughts?
a one-shot cash deal.
Yeah.
It was fun to listen to.
Yeah.
But I guess it's
You
just,
asked for this.
Yeah, you
I did.
asked for it. You haven't
Say
said
it.
anything. Yeah.
I think I unfortunately disagree with Mr. Cheney and his conceptualization that that's a good place for a school when the town center is right here. However, I do think the town did buy it a number of years ago. We thought we had a potential for a revenue income stream there. We lost out on it because it's town owned and it's agricultural soils that the state won't let us build on. It's going to remain town owned for however long. They're likely going to say no matter what, so long as it's town owned. Like, what's all of a sudden going to change? So the idea of building a school there isn't going to happen if it's town owned. So what's the plan? Like, I'm cool with open space, but people had an expectation that we were going to have revenue coming from that parcel. We built it into our preliminary budgets a handful of years ago. And now I got nothing. So trying to think we need to kick the bucket a bit here and come up with some ideas.
Selling 4 house lots pales in comparison what we potentially had coming from that solar. So it was worth it to invest that time. And even if it was very, back of the napkin type of scratching into a budget, what it could bring us, does not anywhere come near
But if
the
you,
impact of the 4
so
houses.
just for the sake of hypothetical math, if you sold 4 house lots at 225K, that would put you at what, $900,000 once. And even if you did the math with children, however much they fall out, one cost at 1.5 children per house over the next however many years,
Forever.
potential. But there's also many homes in town that people can't afford to live there with children, and they're with no children. Like,
Well,
and they just,
these houses would be the same 5-bedroom plus, they're gonna go in and they're gonna bring all those kids. It's not the type of housing that this town needs. That's a whole nother.
but otherwise it's just tree filled space that just grows.
Oh, and that has no value at all.
Not if we can't have people go out and use it. Like we've already said, we don't want people trespassing.
They can't trespass with motor vehicles. They can obviously go out there and walk there and bring a canoe and go to the river. They can bike, But you cannot do a motor vehicle trespass, and that's what our issue is. Is motor vehicle trespass, not walking.
Sure, so because people want motor vehicle access in town, could we come up with some creative play there
So you want to make an ATV park and totally trash them.
to make it something?
It is something.
It's space that people go to and walk around, but we have tons of other parcels that we do that in town.
Well, and that's why we have all that. So because people like to have various places to go. Joan?
So I take it, there's been no one has offered to purchase this land. This is just,
We're just chit
it's a
chatting.
hypothetical.
We're getting upset and we're chit chatting, having fun.
Yeah, we're having a discussion.
Because we had such a good deal on the solar field before, and it was
We
too
did.
good to be true.
Yeah, it's sad that that went away.
Yeah.
That would have helped.
They strung us along.
They did. It was. yeah.
We're just spinning our wheels, but not up there.
We can, yeah, exactly. So we can move on and have, bring up this discussion some other time. And, you know, you put a little bit more
Mine
thought
hasn't
into
said anything.
it. He's being smart, staying out of it. All right, well, I'm gonna move on if everyone's okay with that. Okay, so that then brings us to, we've got 2 executive sessions. And before that, why don't we approve the September 14th minutes for 2021, if everyone is okay with that?
So move.
Okay, well, I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Anything else in the report, Town Administrator? We covered a lot tonight, so I think we've covered it. Okay. Oh, I do have 2 quick things that have come up. Jake, maybe you've already addressed this, but there was an email about the use of the gazebo, the electricity for October 16th.
I was actually going to bring them up because I wanted to know, Ron, you're the most familiar with the bandstand. Do you think, I don't know if you've seen this request, do you think they would be able to use the bandstand
I think they could use
for
it.
the energy?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely they can.
Okay, so Jake, you'll respond to that
Yes, I
request?
just wanted to check with you guys and mainly with Ron to make sure.
Won't be an issue.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Very good. There was another question that was posed to me, and there's been a request by one of the cemetery commission members to be able to have access to the safe.
The town hall
The town hall safe, because they have to get the deed book, and apparently only 2 people have the key,
That's the way it should be.
but only 2
Should
people.
be restricted access to the state.
Okay,
I agree with that.
It's like the state.
They can make a request when.
I don't want access to the state.
well, I guess
I've
the
never
question
been-
is to have the availability to get in there be more, what's the word I'm looking for?
They should have it, that's what-
Well, I think that's, I don't want to say that's the problem, but that has been where there's
The
an
obstacle.
the obstacle in availability. So I guess it's, okay. Well,
I don't
we'll have to,
know.
no, I don't know if I have a solution either. I
I think Bonnie has it.
Bonnie and town clerk have the key.
Honestly, as long as another elected official has the primary access, I don't want anything to do with it. Right.
No, I'm not asking you to. I'm
Yeah,
just.
no, I think-
I didn't ask anybody else to have it.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, that's fine. I'm not asking you to take on that role. Yeah, I'm just, the question
I've
was-
said this before to this person. who's
Yeah.
made this request.
okay,
It's the issue.
Okay.
It's control, you should have control.
yeah,
Person that has control is that person. What other way to say that?
Understood.
all right, well, maybe I will try to talk to the parties and see if we can come to some sort of agreement without there being an additional key.
It's a combo law.
Okay,
So that person that has the condo is the custodian of that property. I'm not controlling.
yeah,
I'm certainly not gonna let somebody else do it.
right.
Unsupervised
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
with access to sensitive records. Then it's not commentary on the person that's acting. It's just, you know,
Okay. Fair enough.
um,
That's fine. Just, I said I'd bring it up. So there we are. Okay, so we've got 2 executive sessions. We are going to close the public hearing and then enter into these by roll call. We will not return back to the public meeting. I see we have 2 fellows here. You had the public forum as the beginning. Is there anything you were here for in particular? Just listening in? Okay. All right, Mike?
not right now, this is your last chance.
Yeah.
No, we'll talk later. We'll talk later. Okay.
Okay. Mike, did you have a question?
Yeah.
We don't have to spend on until 2026.
No, but then we get it, yeah.
Oh, so at this point, yeah, all right, so it's been a minute, right? So state says, yeah, I said, what about this? They said, oh, we don't know, the last Fed. That said, we're not. Say, well, I recommend you document this.
Did it seem like it was enough here or?
No, I think they're going there, what they're saying is work it, work the file, document the file, get everything, make sure you're on solid. So that's not it. It's, sorry, I don't know, but there's all the things that I. You'll let them know that hopefully before next time we send.
It would. We can work it out. We're trying.
Chief Dapp, did the school committee reach out to you about, PTO reach out to you about trunk or treat?
Yes.
All right, cool. I know that was an issue last year.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Right, Harold?
Yeah, that's fine.
I just want to reach out because I just like to give her a message, let her know if she needs to call.
Yeah, I just know a couple people called last year about the traffic, so I was like, I'll ask the chief, and I said,
Well, she did the message a little bit on plan, so I'll talk to her.
thank you.
So you're in process with her, right? You're in process with her, right? You're in process with.
Yes, yeah.
She's been talking to me too. I said I would talk to you about it.
Yeah, I'll reach out to her.
Hey, Mike.
Like I said, I want to talk to Nick tonight. So it's just been going on, so I can just give her the message.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the police was good, was cool. I didn't say.
Motion to adjourn public meeting.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good night.